You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley. So for our listeners who don't know yet, Meems is a motherhood, lifestyle, and home digital creator. And as you now know, we all follow her on Instagram at Too Littles to Love. So we highly recommend you follow her. Check out all of her awesome reels. I think the latest one that we shared of yours, a couple episodes back, we talked about, hitting curbs. Just like randomly hitting curbs and and then literally right after we got done recording, your reel popped up about hitting curbs, and so we're like, this is too good. This is just too good. Yeah,
this happens too often. It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Yeah,
no. I drive the same way, but sometimes it just pops out.
Yeah.
So good.
You know what they say about girls who hit curbs. It's just the pretty ones that hit the curbs. That's all it is.
Is that what they say?
I've
never heard that, but I like it.
That's what they say. I actually heard that recently, so I'll have to share that with you guys if I can find it. So we have Meems on because Meems has a HOPEisode. She has a story to share about how she became a geriatric mama. So she's going to take her time and let us know how she became the mom of these two miracle babies that she has.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so grateful that you guys reached out to me because I wouldn't have even, I never even knew of your, podcast or anything. So I was so excited. But yes, so I'm happy to be here. And so my whole story, let's see, I'm trying to think so I got married late. I was 33 when I got I guess that's late. I don't know. I feel like that's late, but now
I'm
now I feel it's not.
I was 36, so I'm like, well, shit. Then I was a dinosaur when I got married.
I feel like now, I feel like now that's like kind of average. I feel like the 30s is average, but 10 years ago, right?
Right.
I was 33 or 34, one of those. And then, obviously women, biological clocks tick in and it's like, I got to have a baby. I don't want to be like this super old mom, which as we know, here we are. But yeah, and then so we started, we got married, and then probably a year later, we were like, all right, let's get on this. Found out we had to do IVF. So we started the whole IVF journey. So that in itself is its whole, beast over there. And once you've gone through that, you definitely have a different kind of perspective on life, right? When you face those struggles and tribulations and stuff like that. And yeah, so we did IVF 34 because because then Everly, my first one, was born when I was 35 in 2015. I think my math is so off.
We're not mathers here.
Yeah, definitely not mathers.
She was born in 2015. That's all I know. So obviously I was pregnant the year prior. But yeah, so we did IVF, and at the time, our insurance didn't cover it, which in my mind just blows me away. And
it's crazy.
Like, okay, so how much is this girl gonna be? So we paid everything, it's incredible how much IVF is, and I'm sure now it's even more. But I did all that, and then we did the whole process, everything. And I was still teaching at the time, so I was a teacher prior to becoming a mom. And I taught for 13 years, and trying to teach while going through IVF and, all the shots and everything was like, okay, I could do this. But then once I got pregnant, it was just like a whole, I can't do this. And, but I did it because, women, we do it all. And then, so I got pregnant with Everly, and actually she's a twin, and we had, I want to say we had like 6 embryos total, and only 2 looked good, and so they implanted 2, and both of them stuck. But we found out around 13 weeks that one, twin B, wasn't going to make it. So we had to, and this is like, I'm just upset with the whole Arizona thing because it, because I had to, abort my, one of the twins. Right. And I think, and I'm like, oh my God, if I could not have done that, you know, like where would I be? Where
Right.
would Everly be? So I don't know. So now I'm digressing, but yeah, so everything was healthy. Everly came. She was teeny tiny, and she still is teeny tiny. She's my little petite girl. Like my 6-year-old Cam
so
is
cute.
gonna be taller than her soon, and she's 9. So, so she's
I
my
just
little
want to
petite
like
one.
comment on that too, because it's
Yeah.
like I can imagine. I don't remember what I was watching, or maybe it was. Oh no, it wasn't anything that I was watching. It was it was something that we read that we found on TikTok. But I can imagine that it's like I don't even know the emotions that probably were happening. Where it's like, on one hand, you're so over the moon happy that you're pregnant, but you're still experiencing a loss. Like there's still a loss
Exactly.
there. So it's like I can't even imagine like how, you're
It
literally being
was
pulled in two different directions of like
literally,
happy but
and
really sad. Like
I was in like hell. I had to take time off work because I just couldn't process, because I was
yeah.
grieving yet elated,
Yeah.
and like going through the
Right.
procedure, and it was just a big thing. And finally, I remember like my mom was like, but you can't always be sad because, your baby that's there is going to feel, because they say babies feel
Yeah.
all the
Babies can feel
emotions,
it.
and it's like, okay, I'm trying, like I'm trying
Yeah.
really hard. and
Yeah.
and yeah, so it was that year was, I mean, I'm surprised I even finished my year teaching that year, like being pregnant, because I was going to the was it the neonatal specialist? Like I was going back and forth to hospitals left and right because they had to check, and and all this stuff, and like even going through that procedure of like they had to be so precise, right? Because there's two sacks in there, and like I'm like, how are they going to know which one? And it was just
Right.
big. I mean, I'm just like so grateful, that we have the technology and the know-how, and these doctors are just amazing at what they do. But yeah, so that was definitely, I mean, Ryan and I feel like last year, so Evie turned 8 last year because she's just 9, was the first year I was able to like accept it. And like it took so long for me. I couldn't like even talk about it because it was just like I just didn't want to talk about it, and it's just, I don't know, like, and I know women go through that, and it's I'm not the only one. And it's just crazy to think that that happens
Yeah.
often actually with IVF twins, like one will
Right.
survive and one won't, and sometimes it's even, I don't know, I don't want to say worse, but like when they have to like actually deliver, a stillborn or something, and it's just like that in itself. So, and so that kind of goes, because I asked them, I said, well, what's going to happen when I do deliver my, my life baby? And they said, well, there will be like remnant, of the fetus.
Yeah.
And so when Everly was born, I mean, I didn't want to see it, but they, I think Ryan saw it. But yeah, so part came out with the placenta and, all that. And so that's, it's just crazy. And then, it was like, okay, now I'm in the thick of newbornhood, right? And can't really like think of anything else with sleep deprivation. And yeah.
You don't really have time to process your emotions
No.
or even what just happened in that situation.
Yeah, and that's why it took so long for me to like accept it, and like that is what happened. And because that happened, I have Camden, because we always knew we only wanted 2. And if I had both babies, and we wouldn't have even tried again for another IVF round. So I see, we were always like, well, always a silver lining, and and I know many mothers have angel babies, so
Yeah. And sorry if I missed this, but how far along were you when you got the news that
well,
one
so
of
that
them
part
didn't
is
make it?
another God, that could be like a whole nother story. So what is it called, the CVS or that procedure? I think it's CVS, or maybe I'm thinking of the
Not
pharmacy.
DNC.
Not the DNC, but it's like the C something. But basically, it's a procedure that they can do if you're under 15 weeks, or no, at 15 weeks. And I was at 15 weeks, and it was a Friday that they found out. And, they're closed Saturday and Sunday. And we were like, well, we need to schedule something, because once they said you had reached 16 weeks, which is the week after that Monday, I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I would just have to let the baby just kind of
Oh my
be in
gosh.
there and do what it needs to do
no.
on its own. And we're like,
Yeah.
we're not. So Ryan was like, oh, hell no, we're not doing that. Like, that's
Right.
going to be even more traumatic. And so he reached out he kind of knows some of the healthcare industry people. And he reached out, and we were able to get an appointment that Monday. And even though it was the 16th, week, my gestational week or whatever was not 16 yet. So they were able to do it. So it was like an emergency, like, okay, we need to get her in. So we went to the specialist, and yeah, it was, I mean, it's crazy because I still remember the smells and the sounds of that room that I was in. And
Yeah.
as a mom, when you're going through something so traumatic, it's just like, you will never forget that. But yeah,
The
13, they
PTSD.
say at 13 weeks is when they found out. Then, no, they said I was fine. And then it was like 14, and then they waited. Because, again, I was a high risk, right? Because I was, 35 or whatever. And yeah, it happened so quickly, and it had to because of the timeline. But yeah, after that, because then, oh yeah, because they do the amnio at 20, right? Like,
Yeah.
where they stick the needle in or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had to be before then and all that stuff. Yeah, it was crazy.
And
Yeah.
then Everly was okay, but she was
Yep.
measuring small and
Tiny.
yeah.
Yeah, she was teeny tiny because up until, 15, 16 weeks, food was being shared, right? Whatever I was
Yes.
eating being shared by
Yeah.
two. And then
Right.
finally, then after that happened, then she started getting it, but then I just wasn't, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't eating very good or something. But she was born like all natural, and she came at 39 weeks, I want to say. She was 39 weeks. So she was full term, and she was only 5 pounds, 7 ounces. So she was
The little
tiny, like
peanut.
Yeah.
5 pounds,
Oh
like little tiny little
goodness.
thing. Whereas like Cam was 8 pounds, 2 ounces.
Yeah.
So crazy. So yeah, she was teeny tiny, but at the same time, I didn't know any different because she was my first. So I'm like, oh, all
Right.
babies are this
Right.
small.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are a lot of really small babies, but I was born like 3 weeks early, and I was about the same. My whole family is tiny, so
Yeah.
just tiny.
Yeah,
I
Hayden was
know.
like 7.5 pounds, and I think my
Yeah.
nephew was like around 8, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Those
two
eight
little
pounders,
chunkers.
those
Yeah.
eight pounders, I'm telling you.
Well, poor thing. I saw when I went to go see him in the hospital, I was like, oh my God, he's so little. And she's like, he didn't feel little. It's like, oh, sorry.
Oh. Yeah, that's funny. Well, and then so like with her, because she was my first, doctors are all like, oh, she's going to take a while to like, have the baby, after like the contractions and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, again, I don't know what's happening. So we go there. She wanted to come, like Everly, literally, when I went to the hospital, I was at like 5.5 centimeters already. And in 45 minutes, I went to like 9 centimeters.
Oh my
It was like,
gosh.
she was like, I'm done.
Right.
She's
She's like,
like,
I'm
I am
cooked.
ready.
I'm on my
Yeah,
way.
I'm good,
See you in
mom.
a minute.
I'm ready to like wreak havoc. So yeah, it was crazy. Like everyone was like, what is like, this is your first baby? I'm like, yeah, it is. I promise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I promise this is my first.
That's hilarious.
She's like, Mom, you've been through enough. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna take care of this for you. I got you.
Oh.
Aw.
So yeah, so that was her story is like so different from Cam's story, and that's just how it is, right? Every child is
Yeah.
so different.
Right. So was Cam an IVF baby as well?
Yes. So after Evie, we waited 2 years. I was still nursing. I actually nursed Evie for 22 months. And so once I finished nursing, we're like, okay, maybe we need to like start IVF again. Because like I said, we always wanted 2 kids.